The forest swallowed us whole that summer night, its shadows curling around our tent like a secret waiting to be told. I was 18, barely out of high school, and my heart was a live wire electric. Reckless, searching for something I couldn't name. Then I saw him. Ethan, my best friend's older brother. His silhouette sharp against the campfire. And I forgot how to breathe. I'd known Caleb since we were kids, building forts out of couch cushions and sneaking extra cookies from his mom's kitchen. He was my anchor. The one who'd talk me through my panic attacks when college applications loomed or when my dad's drinking got too loud. So when Caleb invited me to his family's annual camping trip in the Adirondacks, I didn't hesitate. A week in the woods with the Wilsons sounded like the perfect escape from my chaotic home life in Syracuse. Caleb's family was the kind you see in holiday commercial swarm. Loud and effortlessly close. His mom, Linda, packed enough food to feed a small army. And his dad, Tom, had a laugh that echoed through the trees. Then there was Ethan, Caleb's older brother, who'd just turned 22 and was home from college for the summer. I hadn't seen him in years, not since he'd left for NYU. But the Ethan I remembered was a lanky kid with braces who'd tease us mercilessly. The Ethan who stepped out of the family's SUV that morning was someone else entirely. He was taller now, broad-shouldered, with dark hair that fell just shy of his eyes and a jawline that could have been carved from stone. He moved with a quiet confidence, unloading gear with easy strength. His flannel shirt stretched across his back. When he caught me staring, he flashed a grin that sent a jolt through my chest. "Hey, Sam," he said, his voice low and warm, like he'd been waiting to say my name. I mumbled something incoherent and turned away, my face burning. The first day was a blur of setting up camp, hauling firewood, and dodging Linda's endless questions about my college plans. Caleb and I stuck to our usual rhythm, joking, exploring the trails, skipping rocks across the lake. But every time Ethan was near, I felt it, a pull, like gravity had shifted. He'd brush past me to grab a water bottle, or his eyes would linger a second too long, and my pulse would race. I told myself it was nothing. I was just nervous, out of place, reading too much into things. That night, we gathered around the campfire, the air thick with the scent of pine and smoke. Linda told stories about their past camping trips, her voice weaving nostalgia into the crackling flames. Caleb was sprawled out, roasting marshmallows with the focus of a surgeon. Ethan sat across from me, his face half lit by the fire, shadows dancing across his features. I couldn't stop glancing at him, couldn't shake the feeling that he was watching me too. "Sam, you're quiet tonight," Ethan said suddenly, his voice cutting through the chatter. Everyone turned to look at me, and I froze, the marshmallow on my stick dripping into the fire. Just taking it all in. I managed, my voice barely steady. He tilted his head, his blue eyes glinting. "Yeah, you look like you're thinking hard about something." Caleb snorted. Sam's always overthinking, probably planning his valedictorian speech for college already. I forced a laugh, but Ethan's gaze didn't waver. It was like he could see straight through me, past the awkward kid who'd spent years hiding who he was. I'd never told anyone not Caleb, not my parents, that I was gay. In a small town like ours, it felt like a secret too heavy to carry, too dangerous to share. But under Ethan's stare, that secret felt like it was clawing its way to the surface. As the fire died down, Linda and Tom headed to their tent, leaving us kids to clean up. Caleb, predictably, wandered off to check the perimeter, code for sneaking a cigarette. That left me and Ethan alone, stacking dishes and folding chairs in the flickering light of the coals. "You okay?" Ethan asked, his voice soft as he handed me a plate. I nodded, avoiding his eyes. "Yeah, just tired." He stepped closer, close enough that I could smell the faint cedar of his cologne mixed with campfire smoke. "You don't have to be nervous around me, Sam," he said, his tone gentle but firm. "I'm not that scary, am I?" My laugh came out shaky. "No, it's not that. I trailed off, my heart hammering. How could I explain the storm inside me? The way his presence made me feel exposed, alive, terrified. He didn't push, just gave me that same quiet smile and went back to work. But as we finished cleaning, he brushed his hand against mine barely a touch. But it sent a spark through me. I glanced at him, and for a split second, his eyes held mine, raw and unguarded. Then he looked away, and the moment was gone. I lay in my sleeping bag that night, Caleb snoring beside me, the forest alive with crickets and whispers of wind. But all I could think about was Ethan, his voice, his smile, the way his touch had felt like a promise. I didn't know what was happening to me, but I knew one thing for sure. This camping trip was about to change everything. The next morning, the forest was a symphony of light and sound, birds chirping, sunlight slicing through the canopy, the lake shimmering like a mirror. I woke up with Ethan's name on my lips, my dreams tangled with flashes of his face. I told myself to get a grip, but my heart wasn't listening. Caleb dragged me out for a hike, his endless energy pulling me along a trail that wound up a rocky ridge. Ethan joined us, his backpack slung over one shoulder, his stride effortless. He kept pace with us, tossing casual banter at Caleb but always glancing my way, like he was checking if I was still there. Each look felt like a question I didn't know how to answer. "Sam, you're lagging," Caleb called, already halfway up a steep incline. "Give him a break," Ethan said, falling back to walk beside me. "Not everyone's a mountain goat like you." I shot him a grateful look, my breath catching not from the climb, but from the way he said my name, like it was something precious. We walked in silence for a while, the crunch of gravel under our boots the only sound. Then Ethan spoke, his voice low. "You ever feel like you're running from something, even when you're standing still?" I stopped, startled. "What do you mean?" He shrugged, his eyes on the horizon. "I don't know. Just, sometimes I feel like I'm hiding from myself. Like there's a part of me I'm afraid to let out." My chest tightened. I wanted to ask what he meant, to spill my own fears. But Caleb's shout from ahead broke the moment. "Yo, slowpokes. You coming or what?" Ethan grinned, the heaviness gone. "Duty calls," he said, nudging my shoulder before jogging to catch up. The rest of the day was a whirlwind of activity: fishing, swimming, Linda's famous chili for dinner. But Ethan's words stayed with me, looping in my mind. Was he talking about me? About himself? The questions gnawed at me, and by evening, I was a mess of nerves. That night, we played cards under the stars, the air cool and crisp. Caleb was losing spectacularly, his competitive streak turning every round into a comedy show. Ethan sat next to me, his knee brushing mine under the table. Every touch was electric, and I hated how much I craved it. "Sam, you in or out?" Caleb asked, snapping me out of my haze. "In," I said, tossing a card down without really looking. Ethan chuckled. "Bold move. Sam, you sure about that?" I met his eyes, and there it was again at spark. That pull. "I'm sure," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. After the game, Caleb crashed early, leaving me and Ethan to clean up again. The campfire was down to embers, the night thick with silence. We worked side by side, and I could feel the weight of his presence, like a magnet drawing me closer. "You're different, you know," Ethan said suddenly, stacking the last of the plates. Different how? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He turned to face me, his expression soft but intense. You're real. Most people put on a show, but you don't. I like that. My throat tightened. I don't know if that's true. I hide a lot. His eyes searched mine. Yeah? Like what? I froze. The truth was right there, burning in my chest. But I couldn't say it. Not yet. Instead, I shook my head. Just stuff. He didn't push, but he stepped closer, his voice low. Whenever you're ready to stop hiding. Sam, I'm here. The words hit me like a wave, and I wanted to tell him everything, how I'd spent years burying my feelings, how his presence was unraveling me. But before I could speak, Caleb's voice called from the tent, breaking the spell. As I crawled into my sleeping bag, my mind raced. Ethan's words, his closeness, the way he saw me was too much. I was falling, and I didn't know if I'd land or crash. By the third day, I was a walking contradiction, thrilled and terrified, drawn to Ethan like a moth to a flame, but scared of getting burned. The Wilsons planned a group hike to a waterfall, and I stuck close to Caleb, hoping his chatter would drown out my thoughts. It didn't. Ethan was always there, a step ahead or behind, his presence like a heartbeat I couldn't ignore. The waterfall was breathtaking, a roaring cascade that sent mist into the air, catching rainbows in the sunlight. We spread out on the rocks, eating sandwiches and soaking in the view. Ethan sat a few feet away, his shirt damp from the spray, clinging to his shoulders. I tried not to stare, but my eyes betrayed me. Sam, you're zoning out again, Caleb said, tossing a pebble at me. Sorry, I muttered, forcing a smile. Just the view. Ethan caught my eye and smirked, like he knew I wasn't talking about the waterfall. My face flushed, and I busied myself with my sandwich, my heart pounding. Later, as we hiked back, Ethan fell into step beside me. Caleb was up ahead, arguing with his dad about the best fishing spots. The trail was narrow, forcing us close, our arms brushing as we walked. You ever been in love, Sam? Ethan asked out of nowhere, his voice casual but edged with something deeper. I nearly tripped. What? No. I mean, I don't know. He laughed softly. That's a lot of answers for one question. I swallowed hard. What about you? He looked away, his jaw tightening. Once. Didn't end well. I wanted to ask more, but his expression stopped me. There was pain there, buried deep, and I didn't know how to reach it. Instead, I said, I'm sorry. He shrugged, but his eyes softened. It's okay. Taught me a lot. The rest of the hike was quiet, but the air between us felt charged, like a storm was brewing. That night, back at camp, we roasted hot dogs, and Linda insisted on a family talent show. Caleb did a terrible magic trick, and Tom recited a poem that had us all laughing. Ethan surprised everyone by pulling out a guitar and playing a soft, haunting melody. His voice was rough but beautiful, and as he sang, his eyes kept finding mine. When he finished, the applause was loud, but all I could hear was my own heartbeat. Caleb nudged me. Your turn. Sam, what's your talent? I panicked. I don't have one. Bull, Ethan said, grinning. Everyone's got something. Come on, Sam. Surprise us. Under his gaze, I felt reckless. I stood, my knees shaky, and told a story, a silly one about a knight and a dragon. Something I'd made up for Caleb years ago. My voice wavered at first, but Ethan's encouraging nod kept me going. When I finished, He clapped louder than anyone, his smile wide and genuine. Later, as we cleaned up, he leaned in close. "You're full of surprises, Sam." My breath hitched. "Good ones, I hope." "The best," he said, and his hand lingered on my arm, warm and steady. That night, I couldn't sleep. Ethan's touch, his words, his song, they were unraveling me. I was falling for him, hard and fast, and it scared me to death. But for the first time, I wondered if maybe, just maybe, he was falling too. The fourth day dawned gray, the sky heavy with the promise of rain. I woke up restless, my dreams a jumble of Ethan's voice and the memory of his hand on my arm. I told myself to focus, to enjoy the trip, but every moment with him felt like a step towards something inevitable. We spent the morning fishing, the lake calm and glassy. Caleb was in his element, casting lines and trash-talking his dad. Ethan and I sat on the shore, our rods forgotten as we talked about music, college, the way the city felt so different from the woods. He opened up about NYU, about feeling out of place among the polished kids with their big dreams. "I thought I'd love it," he said, skipping a stone across the water. "But sometimes I miss this. The quiet. The realness." I nodded, my throat tight. "I get that. Home's messy, but it's home." He looked at me, his eyes searching. "What's home like for you, Sam?" I hesitated. Home was my dad's anger, my mom's silence, the weight of keeping my secret. But with Ethan, I felt safe, like I could let the truth slip. "It's hard," I admitted. "My dad, he's not great, and I don't always feel like I belong." Ethan's hand brushed mine, a quiet gesture of comfort. "You belong here," he said simply. My heart stuttered. Before I could respond, Caleb shouted, "Fish on," and the moment broke. But Ethan's words stayed with me, a lifeline in the chaos of my thoughts. That afternoon, the rain came, soft at first, then a steady downpour. We huddled in the main tent, playing cards and laughing as Linda told embarrassing stories about Caleb's childhood. Ethan sat across from me, his knee pressed against mine under the table. Every touch was a spark, and I wondered if he felt it too. When the rain stopped, Ethan suggested a walk to check the trails. Caleb, still nursing a grudge from losing at cards, opted to stay behind. I hesitated, but Ethan's hopeful look pulled me in. The forest was dripping, the air fresh and heavy with petrichor. We walked in silence, the only sounds the squelch of our boots and the distant call of a loon. Then Ethan stopped, turning to face me. "Sam," he said, his voice low, "can I tell you something?" My pulse raced. "Yeah, anything." He took a deep breath, his eyes locked on mine. "I'm gay." The words hit me like a thunderclap. I stared at him, my mind reeling. You are." He nodded, his expression vulnerable. "I've known for a while. Haven't told many people. Not even Caleb." I swallowed hard, my secret burning in my chest. "Why are you telling me?" "Because I trust you," he said simply. "And I think you get it." I wanted to tell him then, to confess that I was gay too, that I'd been falling for him since the moment we arrived. But fear choked me, and all I could say was, "I'm glad you told me." He smiled, a mix of relief and something else, hope. Maybe. As we walked back, our hands brushed, and this time, neither of us pulled away. Ethan's confession hung between us, a fragile thread tying us together. I spent the fifth day in a daze, replaying his words, his trust, the way his hand had felt against mine. I wanted to tell him the truth, but every time I tried, The words caught in my throat. We spent the day kayaking. The lake a mirror of the cloudy sky. Caleb and I raced, our paddles slicing through the water. But my eyes kept drifting to Ethan, who was helping Linda with her kayak. He looked at ease, his laugh carrying across the water. But I could see the weight in his eyes, the same weight I carried. That evening, we built a bonfire, the flames leaping high as we shared stories. Caleb told a ghost story that had Linda clutching Tom's arm, and Ethan teased me about my storytelling from the night before. But when our eyes met, there was no teasing, just a quiet understanding. After dinner, Caleb and Tom went to secure the food from bears, leaving me and Ethan to tend the fire. The night was clear, stars scattered like diamonds across the sky. "You've been quiet today," Ethan said, poking at the fire. "Everything okay?" I nodded, my heart racing. "Just thinking about what you said." He looked at me, his expression soft. "Yeah? You want to talk about it?" I took a deep breath, the words spilling out before I could stop them. "I'm gay too." The silence that followed was deafening. Ethan's eyes widened, then softened, a slow smile spreading across his face. "Sam," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for telling me." I laughed, shaky and relieved. "I was so scared you'd, I don't know, think I was weird." "Never," he said fiercely. You're amazing." My cheeks burned, and I looked away, the fire blurring through sudden tears. Ethan reached out, his hand covering mine. "You don't have to hide anymore," he said softly. "Not with me." I nodded, unable to speak. His hand stayed on mine, warm and steady, and for the first time, I felt seen. But the moment didn't last. Caleb's voice broke through, calling us back to the tent. Ethan squeezed my hand once before letting go, and we rejoined the others, the secret between us now a shared one. That night, I lay awake, my heart soaring and aching all at once. I'd told Ethan the truth, and he hadn't turned away. But what did it mean? Was this just a moment, or the start of something more? The sixth day felt different, like the air itself was charged with possibility. Ethan and I shared a secret now, a bond that made every glance, every touch, electric. But with it came fear. What if Caleb found out? What if his family didn't understand? We spent the morning exploring a nearby cave, the cool darkness a contrast to the summer heat. Caleb led the way, his flashlight bouncing off the walls, while Ethan and I lagged behind, our shoulders brushing in the narrow passages. "You okay?" Ethan whispered, his voice echoing softly. "Yeah," I said, my heart racing. "Just a lot to process." He nodded, his hand grazing mine. "We'll figure it out. Together." The word together sent a shiver through me. I wanted to believe it, but doubt gnawed at me. Ethan was leaving for college again soon. What could we have in just a few days? That afternoon, we swam in the lake, the water cold and bracing. Caleb and I raced to a buoy, but Ethan stayed back, floating on his back, his eyes on the sky. When I swam over, he grinned. "You're a better swimmer than Caleb thinks." I laughed, splashing him. "Don't tell him that." Our playful banter turned into a splash fight, our laughter echoing across the water. For a moment, it was just us, the world falling away. But when Caleb swam over, I pulled back, guilt twisting in my gut. He was my best friend, and I was keeping something from him. That night, we sat by the fire, the mood quieter than usual. Linda and Tom went to bed early, leaving the three of us. Caleb was half asleep, his head nodding, but Ethan and I were wide awake, the tension between us palpable. "Sam," Ethan said softly, when Caleb dozed off. Can we talk? I nodded, my stomach in knots. We slipped away from the fire, walking to the edge of the camp where the trees swallowed the light. I can't stop thinking about you, Ethan said, his voice raw. Since the moment you got here. It's been you. My breath caught. Ethan, I feel the same. But what about Caleb? Your family? He stepped closer, his eyes fierce. I don't care about that. I care about you. Before I could respond, he kissed Miah's soft, urgent kiss that stole my breath. I kissed him back, my hands trembling as they found his shoulders. The world spun, and for that moment, nothing else mattered. But then we heard Caleb's voice, sharp and confused. Sam. Ethan. Where are you guys? We pulled apart, panic flooding me. Ethan grabbed my hand, his eyes steady. We'll tell him. Together. Caleb's voice cut through the night, and my heart sank. Ethan's hand was still in mine, grounding me, but the fear was overwhelming. We stepped back into the firelight, Caleb's eyes narrowing as he saw us. Where'd you go? He asked, his tone sharp. Just talking, Ethan said, his voice calm but firm. Caleb's gaze flicked to our joined hands, and his face hardened. Talking? Huh? What's going on? I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Ethan squeezed my hand. Caleb, we need to tell you something. The air felt thick, the fire's crackle the only sound. Ethan took a deep breath. I'm gay. And Sam and we're figuring things out. Caleb stared, his expression unreadable. Then he laughed. A harsh, disbelieving sound. You're joking, right? Sam, tell me he's joking. I shook my head, my voice trembling. I'm gay too. Caleb, I'm sorry I didn't tell you. His face fell, a mix of hurt and confusion. You're my best friend. Sam, how could you not tell me? I was scared, I admitted. I didn't know how you'd react. Caleb ran a hand through his hair, pacing. This is a lot. Ethan, you too. What the hell? Ethan stepped forward. I know it's a shock, but this is who I am. Who we are. Caleb stopped, his eyes flashing. And you two are, what? Together now. Behind my back. It's not like that, I said, desperate. It just happened. He shook his head, turning away. I need to think. Just leave me alone. He stormed off, leaving Ethan and me in the flickering light. My chest ached, guilt and fear twisting together. Ethan pulled me close, his arm steady. He'll come around, he whispered. He just needs time. But I wasn't so sure. Caleb was my brother in all but blood, and I'd hurt him. The rest of the night passed in a blur. Ethan and I sitting by the fire, not speaking but holding on to each other. The next morning, Caleb avoided me, sticking close to his parents. The tension was palpable, and Linda noticed, her eyes darting between us. Everything okay, boys? She asked. Fine, Caleb muttered, not meeting her gaze. I wanted to fix it, but I didn't know how. Ethan stayed by my side, his presence a quiet strength. But the weight of Caleb's anger hung over us. The final day of the trip was heavy with unspoken words. Caleb barely spoke to me, his silence louder than any argument. Ethan and I stole moments together, but the joy of our connection was shadowed by the rift with Caleb. As we packed up camp, Linda pulled me aside. Sam, what's going on with you and Caleb? I hesitated, then told her the truth about me. About Ethan. About our feelings. Her eyes softened, and she hugged me. Your family. Sam. Always will be. Caleb will come around. Her words gave me hope, but Caleb's coldness lingered. As we loaded the SUV, he finally approached me, his expression guarded. I'm not mad you're gay, he said quietly. I'm mad you didn't trust me. I'm sorry, I said, my voice breaking. I was scared. He sighed, his shoulders slumping. I get it. I just need time. I nodded, tears stinging my eyes. You're my best friend. Caleb. That hasn't changed. He gave a small nod, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of the old Caleb. We'll figure it out, he said. The drive home was quiet, but Ethan's hand found mine in the back seat. A silent promise. When we reached Syracuse, he pulled me aside. This isn't the end. Sam, he said, I'm not letting you go. I smiled, my heart full despite the uncertainty. Good, because I'm not letting you go either. As I walked into my house, the weight of the trip settled over me. I'd found love, faced my truth, and maybe lost a piece of my friendship. But I'd also found courage, and that was worth everything. Ethan and I would face the future together, one step at a time. And somehow, I knew we'd be okay.